The exhibition is it's package tour, and yeah, I think first of all it came up when when because it was summer, and well, yeah, I always thought that package tour was somehow exotic, so I like the I like I like the title. But then the things I put in is, of course, to try to disturb a bit this notion of what package tour can mean. And what it put in there is different kind of works that deals with transportation of uh, physical place, memories, and so on. I wanted like to play with transportation or transferring something like I mean, it was all this idea of being in another place, not necessarily a better place, but like mixing all these kind of things together. The starting work is a is a vitrine. When you go into the space, there's a vitrine, and in this vitrine, there's objects belonging to my father, and these are a Rolex watch and a Dupont lighter and a American military ring. And all these objects were acquired after he came to the West, or our family came to the West. Another piece in the exhibition is this codicil for a will, where American. I mean, he was a military strategist. I would say he was economist working for the Rand Corporation, and at the same time he was also gay. He have spent his time in Vietnam from 64 to 73. I got to know him because I was in residency in LA, and he approached me, and it turns out that he had this amazing archive of photos he would take of boys in Vietnam that would hold hands, because in Vietnam you have like another kind of male intimacy that's very different from the West. So what he did was that he projected these kind of homosexual whatever in these situations, and he would take pictures of it. And I made like a book of it, and also a book of the love letters he had from Vietnamese lovers, and all these pictures he would take. And now, of course, also the love letters was very privately, because you couldn't be gay at that time in the 60s. So all these kind of things were, nobody had really seen it, because it was just for, very private use. And also, actually, he's also writing in his book that he was fired because there was accusation that he was gay, which also made all this period very dark for him. That it was something he never really, wanted to dig up in. But, I was so amazed. So, suddenly he's also starting, to be more engaged in it, and it's a very interesting way of reviving certain memories that he have somehow, put away a bit. How I try to do these kind of projects is, of course, to emphasize that there's a strong relationship with another person. This is not a work that has been done alone. That it's an infiltration of different history that goes suddenly parallel. Or I mean, I'm not so concerned if this is a collaboration or not. I mean, I'm concerned, of course, that this is something that's created by two persons. It's a strange project, because I've known this guy for 2-3 years now, and we get closer and closer together. And I've done different kind of projects with his stuff, and this is somehow the last thing we've done together. And that's the will, where he's stating that I'm going to inherit all the personal stuff that he would have in his house and around, and he has them all over. He's very old, like 80 years, so he hides them, in the garage or whatever. It's just two documents framed together with a book that he actually wrote that somehow describes the background for it. I wanted to have crates in to emphasize of course, the movement of the artworks in itself. I think in reality my production is like I have all these kind of strange stuff around me, and I exhibit them again and again, and I combine them in other ways, and like, and crates are just they tell where the objects comes from. I mean, I don't understand why there's all these kind of strange selection that this is the art and then you put something away and this is, for transportation. I think all these kind of things is a part of the work, and I like to, make things more transparent. But the last thing is this grave marker, which is like it's a grave marker for my grandmother's tomb or grave or whatever, and this one was created because when somebody dies, I mean, I don't know these kind of things, it was just because it happened and suddenly I got really into it. But when people die and you bury people, the soil have to settle before you can put the heavy granite tombstone on top of it, otherwise it would sink. And what my father did, he's very devoted Catholic, which is also interesting because, the first Catholic president for the South in Vietnam was, of course, Catholic as a part of manifesting the westernization of South Vietnam. And he was immediately killed because the America, the CIA could see that, of course, this guy wouldn't, take commands from the States, so there was a coup against him, and he was killed, actually. And my father was really into this president, the first South Vietnamese president, and he was Confucianist before, but as a kind of secret or personal demonstration, he converted into Catholicism. And I mean, he's totally devoted Catholic today without any, memory of the political reason why he's a Catholic. That's just the background fact. But then when he saw my grandmother's grave and there was nothing on it, he couldn't stand, he couldn't cope with it. So he built this temporary grave marker, which is a crucifix. And it's a very common design from the wartime. And there was, of course, I don't know what to say about it. It's just a crazy thing that he did, which were, of course, thrown away by the cemetery when the real tombstone came, because nobody they've never seen it before. And they didn't know what to do with this thing, and it ended in this container. And it was actually on my 1 year Memorial Day of my grandmother. I think my whole family went there, and suddenly they saw like this wooden crucifix in the container, and they were like, grandmother's crucifix can't be in the container. But of course, the old are also like totally bourgeois and have like this kind of family and pretty small houses. They don't want, of course, this crucifix in the grave mark in their backyard. And they didn't know what to do with it. And suddenly my little sister came up with the idea that maybe I was interested in it. And I was, of course, shocked when I saw it first time. And it took me I had it out in the balcony for 7-8 months or something before I could depersonify this object and only see it as a imperialistic trace. And when I was able to do that, I started to exhibit it. So all this work deals with history and past and older people and sex and whatever. So, or not sex, or like homosexuality and whatever. So I wanted to do something that was also, more about the future and a bit more updated. So the starting point was this calendar from my sister that she made from package to or chartered holiday images of her and her kids traveling to Gambia on a package tour, and they're a bit crazy as well. I mean, it's just this picture of my little niece like writing, playing with the kids in Gambia, and it's a very strange picture that I liked a lot, or it triggers some thoughts in me. So I used it in this vitrine where I put it together with old sperm whale tooth. It's called a shrimp. It's a tradition that's appropriated from the Inuits by the settlers in New England. And this tradition peaked during the peak of the whaling, because in 1850s the whale industry in New England was really big, and there was a lot of whale tooth. And what they would do with, when they went out, and they could take years to chase these sperm whales, and what they would do in their spare time was that when they have the bones or tooth of these whales, they would carve different kind of things in it. Usually the ship that they were sailing. So I wanted to combine these objects because I really like this idea of the settlers, totally colonizing a place, erasing the indigenous people, appropriating their culture, and then they start to chase whales, and they carve these. I just thought it was a really crazy item, and I thought it was beautiful together, or interesting together with this calendar of my sister going on package tour to Gambia, with the history that she comes from. And then I wanted to put it together with these what do we call it, strollers, like this baby thing that you carry around, and together with, of course, a toy that looks like the same as the big one, like this idea of transporting values and how the next generation should be like, and the future and whatever.